Hello and welcome back to Road to October, a librarian reviews horror literature. I'm so glad to have you here. My name is James Tyner. I'm a librarian with Fresno County Public Library. I'm also a published poet, MFA degree in writing, and I'm a massive fan of horror literature, horror movies, huge fan, so I'm so glad to have this opportunity to share this with all of you. So I've been reading some cool stuff. I have some new suggestions for you. Each time we're going to do a different book. And we have one that is new for me that I really enjoyed, and I can't wait to share it with you and tell you more about it. So today's book, we're going to look at Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. Now, a little bit of heads up about this one. This is a YA book. This is a teen book. So similar books such as the Divergent series or the Twilight series, Hunger Games, those are all considered young adult books. So they're aimed at that audience. But sometimes a negative connotation can come with YA books. People can see them as kind of, not as well written, other things like that. And that is absolutely not the case with today's book. So we're going to take a look at this. So this is by Justina Ireland. She currently lives in Pennsylvania. At the age of 19, she enlisted in the military. She currently still works for the military, but she also teaches creative writing. She has a BA in history and then an MFA degree in creative writing. She's very vocal. Very much an advocate about seeing more authors of color. She's a founder of an initiative called Writing in the Margins, which gives mentoring and tutoring and opportunities for authors of color. So, very important writer. This is, I believe, her first big full-length book. It's a New York Times bestseller. But I have a feeling a lot of people overlook this one because it's seen first as a teen book. And this is a genuine horror novel. I think it's worth your time. First thing I want to mention is just how cool the book is, the design. Even with the way the pages are laid out and some of the coloring inside, it makes it look like an older book from a different time. It's fantastic. It just adds to the whole appeal. So what is Dread Nation? Dread Nation is an alternative history book, meaning it's going to feel very familiar to you, but alternative history books, what they do is they take a moment in time and kind of look at a what if. How would the world be? How would things be if whatever moment in history things change just a little bit? So what this one does, and again, I'm giving a spoiler warning. I'm going to try and keep things spoiler free, but I'm going to give you a little bit here and there just to kind of draw you into the book. So spoiler warning in advance. But what this does, it looks at the Civil War. And what would have happened if zombies suddenly started roaming the earth? So zombies attack during, I believe, the Battle of Gettysburg, according to this novel. And it shows you how time goes from there. I think it takes place, if I remember right, somewhere about 20 years afterwards or so. Really cool book, very interesting. It's going to feel familiar to you and strange and different. The writing is just one of a kind. I'm going to talk about this a tiny bit more, but one of the things, the strengths of this book that I do want to mention is the use of voice. Authors use different types of literary devices. The poetic or image, all kinds of different things. But for this particular one, there's a real strength in terms of the characters and their voice. Now, just to give you a tiny bit about this book to draw you in, this takes place, like I said, after the Battle of Gettysburg. There's now zombies. Slavery has been abolished because of the zombies' attack. But instead, what's happened is these schools have been set up to train indigenous peoples and people of color on how to fight the zombies. And then these kids essentially are then given out as attendants, and they go to different families and then they kill zombies. So this starts off as we follow the main character by the name of Jane. She is about to graduate from one of these schools, and it follows her and what happens then. It shows her training, what she goes through, her intelligence, all the racial things going on. It's a fantastic read. The zombies are a big thing, and I had to give a little preface. I'm actually not that big of a fan of zombie movies or books. It doesn't interest me that much. Now, having said that, I've read quite a few, but they're not always my favorite. And this one, like the best of those, what it does is it uses the zombies more as a backdrop to highlight issues and what's really going on. And this does this with perfection. I absolutely love this book. I love the routes that it takes you, the things that it goes through, that you see the main characters develop, the way they interact. The voices in here are just outstanding. It feels like real people, and you're just drawn in. So let's go over a couple of scores that we use. And once again, I know it's goofy, but I'm going to give you a score of pumpkins, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest score. And we're going to look at a few things and score those. So first off, creep factor. I always like to go over creep factor because some people don't like it. They want to know if a book is overly scary or not overly scary. And that, can be a draw or keep some people away. So the creep factor on this, I'm going to put it at a 7. So I'm going to give it a score of 7 pumpkins. Why is that? So again, as I mentioned, the zombies are sort of a backdrop. They're not the scariest aspect of this. When they are described, it's pretty awful. But again, it's more of a backdrop. Some of the scarier things more are the racial issues and the way that people are treating each other. That is the real horror and some of the things that people go through. So again, like a boo in your face kind of thing, not so much. It's lower on the list, but the awfulness that's going on and the ugliness of these situations that these people are surviving through, that's the real creep factor. So that's why I'm putting this at a 7. So definitely keep that in mind. The writing, if you haven't guessed it already, I am an absolute fan of the writing in this. Just stunning. Some of the best voice work I've read. You just believe these characters. She kind of makes up her own lexicon, her own words, let's say, for the job that these people do. And it feels normal. It feels natural. Again, not to give too much away, but describing the work that they do dispatching the zombies, they call it harvesting the shamblers. Fantastic. You just feel drawn. It feels normal. No need to explain it because you get it. Oftentimes people in different professions have words that they use, and that's what this feels like. Just voices are so natural, so real, and you just get drawn in. These characters are amazing. Such character development. This is a lot of fun. It's a great book. So yes, the writing, I'm giving this a 9 pumpkins. I check it out. Fantastic. So before we get into the recommendation or not, do I like it? Well, I actually loved it. I thought it was great. I think this is a voice, or again using that word again, that needs to be heard. This is a book that should be read. Yes, it is a YA novel, absolutely, yes. But it's also one that's a great horror book. I think it's one that more people should get into. And to draw you in a little more, the follow-up novel just released, I believe, in February. Definitely check that one out. I haven't even read it myself yet, so you can read it and let me know what you thought. So last off, to finish this up, do I recommend it? I think you can guess right now that yes, this is a great one to recommend. Also too, in terms of new readers to horror genre, this is a great way to get into it. It's not too scary. There are, there's heavy issues of race and the way we treat each other as human beings. And that's heavy stuff, and it should be. This book puts in your face and makes you read that and get through it, and you can see there's so many similarities between the world now and then what's being talked about here. So definitely worth the read. This is fantastic. I would recommend this for teenagers, for adults. This hits a lot of categories. If you did like Hunger Games and books like that, you're gonna love this. Fantastic book. Definitely a great introduction. Great way to draw people into the horror genre. So, Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. I'm giving this, we'll say 9 pumpkins. I definitely recommend it. Please check it out. If you're part of Fresno County Public Library, we do have it. You can put it on hold. Probably pick it up today if you called one of the branches. It was available on several of the branches. Just a secret between us. But yeah, definitely check this out. Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. I think you'll really like it. But if not, either way, post in the comments below. Let me know what you think. And we really appreciate it. October's coming up, so we have some good books lined up. I can't wait to share. I'm trying to keep the scariest for October. So I have some great ones lined up, but I'm always looking for new suggestions. So if you have some books you would like to hear more about, please post down below. Shoot me an email. Once again, my email is james.tyner, Tyner, at fresnolibrary.org. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Any suggestions, absolutely, please get in contact. But once again, Dread Nation, Justina Ireland, definitely 9 pumpkins. Check this out. I think you're going to love it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.